everybody. How are you doing tonight? I am Lauren Morris. I'm on Magic 98.9 in the mornings with Magic Mornings with Bo and Lauren. So I hope everybody in here listens, right? Of course, yes. I am so glad to hear it. So I'm amongst friends. I do want to thank you for coming out this evening, the 63rd Annual Greater Easley Chamber of Commerce event. It is absolutely gorgeous in here. You've done a great job with decorating and everything, so I'm excited to be here. I brought my husband along, Captain Michael Morris. It's his birthday today, so we need to give him a hard time. Yes, exactly. Well, you can sing. You can sing for him. Okay. All right. Well, I do want to introduce Kent Dykes, the president of the Greater Easley Chamber of Commerce this evening. Round of applause, please.
Well, I'll be brief also, but this year, our chamber leadership has declared that they are proud as Peacocks of the business and the city and the leaders in our area. And tonight, we're going to honor all those who made us proud through their exceptional service to our community. So many of our business leaders are tireless in their efforts to improve the lives of those who live and work in our area. And we're proud of their achievements and pleased to be able to share their stories with you this evening. To begin with, I'd like to now turn it over to Dr. David Spittle. And Dr. Spittle, if you will offer a prayer for the gathering and for our meal, please.
Let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you today and this evening for all the blessings that you have given us. We thank you for the opportunity to live in a country that's free. We thank you for the blessings that come from being a part of a community such as this. And Lord, we ask that each one in this room represent leaders who have made a difference in our community. We would ask that you bless them and prosper them and extend their influence so this community can continue to grow and develop and be a great place for all of us to live and work. Lord, we also ask your protection on those men and women who are fighting for freedom. No matter where they are, no matter what they're facing, we just ask that you protect them, bring them home safe. Lord, we thank you for this food that we're about to share and for those who have prepared it for us. In thy name we pray. Amen.
So that we can have an orderly procession to the buffet line, Scott Buckheister, you see over there? Scott is going to be the moderator that would open that would start the tables we can start the line over there. So Scott, if you can tell us what we're going to do, starting with the back table, correct? So if you'll follow his directions, and if you don't mind, we'll begin with the speaker's table, but then follow immediately with us. Go ahead.
Also, the table sponsors for this evening. Gold sponsors Blue Ridge Electric Cooperative. Are we going to clap on that? Carolina First Bank, Service Bank, City of Easley, Duke Energy, Ogletree, Deacons, Nash, Smoke, and Stewart. Is that right? Also, okay, I practiced this one. Pasei Family Dentistry. Is that right? Oh, see, and I'm still messed up. Okay, Pasui, excuse me. Also, SunTrust Bank. And the silver sponsors, BB&T, Baptist Easley Hospital, Dunbark's Premier Events, Kudzu Staffing, McNair Law Firm, Morris Business Solutions, People's National Bank, Pinnacle Bank, Robinson's Funeral Home, FC Telco. That's a popular one, okay. This guy in the room is awake this evening. I'll just face over here. Sharp Business Systems, Sulzer Process Pumps, Tri-County Technical College, Valentin Occasions, View Digital Media, and, okay, this is another one that I did practice at the table. Upstate Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery. Yes! All right. This is going very well. All right, now the Board of Directors. If you would turn to the back of your programs and read the list of 16 chamber board members on the back of the program. And those in attendance, I do want you to stand and be recognized this evening. Now, I would like to introduce Alex Dye, 2010 Chairman of the Board.
Thank you very much. Just want to thank everyone for being here. Got a great crowd here today. Just great group of people. And I'll hold this a little closer so you can hear me. All right. It is my job to acknowledge the Board of Directors of 2010. And I think everyone is names on the back of the of the program. But if you will, I don't know if everyone stood earlier. If you were a Chamber of Commerce Board of Director this year, if you would please stand and so everyone can see you. It is my job to recognize those that are going off the board this year and have served their 3-year term or longer in some cases. I want to call on Dr. Jonathan Strange, if you would please come forward. I want to thank Jonathan as he's coming up. He's been instrumental in our new logo. He's been a real big proponent of the new logo, helping make sure we get that pushed through, and done a fantastic job in support.
Thank you, Alex.
And there is steps on this side, so those you want to come around this side. Next up, I'm going to call on Fox Simons, if you would, Fox. And Fox has been our link with the city, if you will. He's done a great job of keeping us abreast of what's going on in the city. And I want to thank you, Fox, for everything you've done for us. And thank you. Appreciate your service. Appreciate it. Next up, and this name is synonymous with the Chamber for quite some time, Rusty Bynum. Rusty has been Ambassador of the Year. And he's pretty much involved with every facet of the Chamber. He stays heavily involved and does so many things. Can't say enough good things about the Rusty. Thanks. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize, who couldn't be here tonight, 2 other directors, Eric Goodwin and Vicki Fletcher. Eric was our past chairman last year and did just a tremendous job in leading us. And Vicki Fletcher and her expertise in tourism and keeping us up on political affairs and so forth. I want to talk a little bit about the 2010 year in review and just some of the things that we accomplished. My dad used to say that an organization is only as good as the people, and if you have good people surrounding you, they'll make you look good. And I think that's a true fact about the chamber. We have so many people that are helpful and a big part of making the chamber successful. And so as part of 2010 in review, I want to mention each director and kind of some of the things that they meant to me this year and how they contributed. Trip Martin has served in the last couple of years. He's served as our treasurer, just a consistent supporter, always been there, constantly there to help us make things happen. Janelle Beamer, I have to give her a lot of credit for this event and the last most of the events we've been involved with as far as the Gala. She's our decorator, coordinator, and a little bit of everything, and just does a fantastic job. Tracy Martin, you see her picture in the paper a lot because she's at almost every chamber event, if you will, of ribbon cutting, and is many as she can get to. She's just real consistent at being at every event and promoting the chamber and helping people, the new businesses, where they need to be, and in any way that she can. Michael Dent, I have to give him credit for tonight and all the video. He's done this for the past couple of years and just done a tremendous job making, getting us organized so we look like we know what we're doing. Emily DeRoberts, I can't say enough things about Emily and her help and support. She's been a big part of everything we do, and as far as the events and keeping us aware of what's going on in Pickens County, Oconee County as well, and just been a big part of things. Scott Buckheister, I think most of you know, he's our event expert and big with the golf tournament and a little bit of everything. We always count on him kind of to get everything in order and keep everything moving along. Tiffany Martin, she's kind of our head cheerleader. Tiffany does just a phenomenal job of seeing the bright side of things and keeping us moving forward. Did a tremendous membership drive this year and really helped us keep our numbers positive, and just want to thank you, Tiffany, for that. Brian Swords, of course, his leadership and his wisdom are invaluable with this organization, and I'm looking forward to your term of service. I think he'll set the bar very high. Todd Maris, of course, just a natural-born leader, great communicator, and really looking forward to his leadership as well. He just does a good job of finding that common ground and keeping us going. And of course, coming on board with the next generation here, if you will, this year, Craig Holman, Pam Jeter, Sean Thornton, Kim Valentine, and Jim Wilson. Like we're in pretty good shape for the next year, and at least the next 3 years. The Powdersville board doesn't seem to, we don't recognize them enough, so I want to take a moment to, I don't know how many of them are here, but just want to name those, and I hope I don't miss anybody. Cynthia Smoke, I think, is our current chairman. Sean Thornton, Janice Perry, Celia Thompson, Kirk Smith, and Wes Porter. I just want to thank them, and they do a tremendous job in making Powdersville a great place and just being a great part of our organization as well and helping us be successful. Our ambassadors are kind of our unsung heroes. They're the ones that do a lot of the work behind the scenes and make everything easy on us directors at it for the most part, and just do a great job of promoting the chamber. And so I want to mention some of those: Susan Gist, Steve Lambright, Sherry Cox, Brian Cavola, forgive me if I misspell your name or mispronounce, Pam Bridges, John Eves, Joan Beald, Eric Carnell, Donna Owens, Terry Albright, and Lisa Hunter. I just appreciate what y'all do. There's so much that y'all do that makes this organization very great and get all the things done. And I want to talk about some of the accomplishments, and after looking at all the accomplishments, it makes me realize just how much Kent and Fran and Jean and Mary Kay really do, because so many of the accomplishments that we had this year are a result of all the hard work that they pour into the organization, and I think that's what they're here for, is to make Easley look good, and they do a really good job of that. And I want to highlight a couple of them. We've had, despite the economic situation, we've managed to hold our own and even end the year in the black, which is pretty good testament to some very frugal means, if you will, and using what we have and getting out there and beating the bushes and making sure that one of our goals was to make sure we provided value to our members, and I think we've done a pretty good job of trying to get that across this year. If you hadn't had an opportunity to attend one of our luncheons, I really have to give Kent credit for coming up with some tremendous speakers this year, and if you hadn't been to those, the third Thursdays for the Easley and Powdersville's is on the fourth Thursday. So anyway, but just to highlight some of our speakers this year, and I have to give most of the credit to Kent for bringing those in, but we had Jack Roper, Mayor Bagwell, Ben Haskew, who's with the Greenville Chamber, Sam White, Brad Brownell, Jeff Duncan, and Jane Dyer. I hope most of you got to come to that semi-debate, I guess. Representative Phil Owens, Jay Handler, and of course Dr. Sword. And in Powdersville, they had 8 luncheons, including speakers Matt Schill, Diana Watson, Will Merritt, Glenn Brill, Sheriff Skipper, Cindy Allewine, Rusty Burns, and again Brian Sword. So they've all been real busy. But those are really, really good to go to. If you get an opportunity, you need to come to those, and you get to learn a lot of good things and see what's going on in Easley. In addition to that, our fundraisers were very successful this past year. Great business exposure during our golf tournament, and like I said, membership held the course. And again, I can't say enough good things about the chamber and all the things they did. We had the 9 luncheons, the 8 Easley luncheons, 8 Powdersville luncheons. We have the monthly directors meeting, monthly Powdersville directors meeting, monthly ambassadors meetings. We held 3 manufacturers luncheons. And in addition to that, I think there was probably 30 or 40 ribbon cuttings. And I don't remember, I think we had about a dozen business after hours. So our chamber staff keeps real busy with things happening. And they make sure not only are things happening, but they're go off well organized, and it's something that everybody can walk away from and feel like they learned something or got to know a little something more about their community. And I have to give a lot of credit to Kent, Fran, Gene, and Mary Kay, and I don't know Josh, but I'm sure he's going to have a lot of work ahead of him because they'll keep him busy, I'm sure. In addition to that, Kent stays involved with, obviously all the Oconee-Pickens County Coalition meetings. He and I have been to, and then some of the other chairmen have been down to the state chamber. Kent keeps us constantly aware of what's going on politically, civic, citywide things, and just does a good job of communicating and presenting Easley's best face, if you will. So you can't ask for much better staff than these guys. And I just want to stop for a minute, and if we could just show our appreciation to our staff. Really makes this job easy for me, and I've never been had a lack of communication from this chamber staff. They do a great job of that. And without further ado, it is my greatest pleasure to introduce the 2011 Chamber Board of Directors Chairman, and Todd Maris, if you would please come forward. It is with great pleasure that I pass on the gavel to you. It has been a lot of fun, and I hope it be just as good a year as it was this past year. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Alex, you've done a great job leading the Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Easley Chamber of Commerce last year, and with gratitude, the board of directors, the ambassadors, and the entire membership would like to present you with the 2010 Chairman of the Board plaque. And we thank you very much.
Thank you. And good luck.
I'll try and make this brief. I know we have a lot that's going on tonight. I moved to Easley in 2006. I was kind of brought here by Dixie Lumber, Mack and C.E. Lawton, which many of you know. You can't meet finer people, but my wife and I moved here to join the Dixie Lumber Company. Soon after I moved here, I stopped into Kent's office and wanted to get to know the chamber. I was involved where I came from on the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and wanted to make sure that he knew I was here and that I was willing to participate. About a year and a half went by, I was taking my son to ball practice at the complex, the baseball practice, and there was Kent walking, and I stopped. And I said, Kent, hey. I said, how you doing? He says, good, Todd. How are you? I said, good. I said, well, remember, I'm here for you if you need me. So I'm here for you, Kent, when you need me. I truly am blessed. It's a wonderful community that we live in. The business community and the families in Easley. It's been a warm welcome. I'm honored to be chairman of the Easley Chamber of Commerce. I was looking online a couple of years ago and went back there a few days ago to review the history of the Easley Chamber of Commerce and how it started in the 1920s. And you know, we were a train town, and things went down during World War II, I believe. And the commerce, some were open from 7 until 9, and some were open from 9 until 7. And they switched it. But I'm really blessed. I'm honored to be a part of this community. Kent, Fran, Mary Kay, Jean, they do a wonderful job. I'm not too naive to believe that you know, as a coach or as a leader, you're only as good as your teammates. And we got some wonderful teammates. The board of directors this year, fantastic individuals, very involved, not just there to have the name or the recognition of being on the board of the Greater Easley Chamber of Commerce, but to actually be involved. We look forward to continuing the success that's already been put forth by the previous boards. We're going to do some things. We're going to grow some things. We're going to improve some things. But we're excited. I'm honored. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I know we have a lot to do, so I'm going to cut it short because I can ad-lib all night long. I can go, but I'll stop. Thank you very much. I look forward to speaking to you next year at the same time about all the accomplishments we had. And Kent, back to you. Thank you.
Okay, let me get my papers back out. All right. Well, now it is time for the Civic Leadership Award. As University President, Dr. David Spittle has guided Southern Wesleyan into an era of financial security and increased enrollment. The university's campus in Central is a testimony to his leadership with 7 new structures, expanded property, and space for more students. Dr. Spittle has strengthened the university's relationship with the community by prioritizing buildings like the University Dining Commons and Newton Hobson Chapel and Fine Arts Center, welcoming community groups to use these buildings. Dr. Spittle has served as president of Southern Wesleyan University since 1949. Whoa, good for you. And upon retirement, you look really good, let me say. And upon retirement in June of 2011, he'll complete 17 years of service. The university has experienced significant growth with the 7 new buildings since he's been there. Dr. Spittle served as co-chair of the Pickens County Vision 2025 Committee and has supported the Easley Chamber of Commerce by allowing employees to serve as chamber volunteers. Dr. Spittle and his wife Donna look forward to living closer to their grandchildren and children in Illinois. So please join me in welcoming Dr. David Spittle to the stage.
So much. I'm sitting back there enjoying my pound cake. That's not fair. My wife and I came to this area 17 years ago, really not knowing anyone. And we discovered very quickly how warm and kind and generous this community is. And good communities don't happen by accident. Learned that a long time ago. It's good people working to make a community good. And for those of you that are elected officials here, I've worked in a lot of situations where I've worked with mayors and state representatives and senators, and I just want to tell you, your people care more about their communities than any I've ever met. They really are interested in making this a great place to work and to live and raise our families, and I want to thank you all for serving in those public capacities, but also want to thank all of you. Again, communities don't happen by accident. This is a wonderful place to live and a wonderful place to raise children. And as we bring students to our campus from really all over the country and around the world, they want to stay here. And I'm not surprised. And so we want to thank you for this recognition tonight. It's It's an honor to be a part of the chamber. But I would like to say I'll just accept it on behalf of the 231 employees who work so hard to make this community their home and to participate, and also our 1,800 students who come here, find husbands and wives, settle down, and they're a part of your community. One of our graduates here, Dr. Swords, is one of ours, and there's a young fellow sitting over there running the lights. I hired him when he was about 12. And so it's just a great joy to see our students finding their place in the community, and thank you so much for this recognition tonight.
And now, Ambassador of the Year. The Easley Chamber of Commerce Goodwill Ambassadors are a spirited group of volunteers who survey our members to learn what we do well, and where we need to improve. They help with the ribbon cuttings and chamber events like luncheons, golf tournaments, and this gala. If you are an ambassador of the Easley Chamber, please stand and be recognized. The Ambassador of the Year is selected from the 12 ambassadors of the month. It is based on a point system of member contacts made, events attended, members recruited, and meeting attendance. Please join me as we watch a brief video of the 2010 Ambassador of the Year, Miss Terry Albright.
Here is Terry Albright, and Terry, you are our Ambassador of the Year for the year 2010. So you are the Ambassador of the Year. Yeah. And also, in addition to being an Ambassador of the Year, which is a very quantitative way we measure this, and it's the amount of contacts that you've made, and the amount of meetings that you've attended, the amount of events that you made for this past year. And I know that you're part of our ambassador group, and you're recently the chairwoman of the ambassadors. That Sam Jeter has now moved into the directorship, so you are a chairperson, so we appreciate you. Terry, tell me about the ambassadors and tell me about you.
To me, the ambassador is just the opportunity to wear a hat other than Albright Associates. So it gives me opportunity by utilizing the tools that the chamber provides to me as an ambassador, the ability to put on another hat and go knock on doors, meet people that's not so much Albright Associates. Mm-hmm. It's the chamber. So in accounting, as fast-paced and hard as it is, at times, it's good just in the middle of the day to put on a different hat and go somewhere and represent the chamber. It's exciting.
Yeah, good. And in the group, how many ambassadors do we have?
We have 12.
12 ambassadors.
We have 12 ambassadors.
They're a fun group, aren't they?
They're awesome group of people, and they are fun.
So it's a good group of people that Terry's the leader of, and they're very competitive. And but this past year, Terry rose to the top, and so you got it, and we appreciate you, Terry Albright, for being Ambassador of the Year for 2010 for our Easley Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much.
And please welcome your 2010 Ambassador of the Year, Ms. Terry Albright. Looking good.
You're still small.
Okay, well.
You know, the ambassadors are rocking, as per Eric. We're very excited, and we have a good group of 12 people. And idealistically, the ambassadors reach out to each member of the chamber, which is more than 450 businesses. And we make a personal contact, a door knock, a phone call, or a face-to-face. And that's an awesome accomplishment for 12 people. And we do that because we all love the chamber, and it makes great business sense. Thank you. Oh, okay. Okay.
All right, now it is time for the Director of the Year. The Director of the Year is selected from among the 16 directors. He has gone above and beyond his job description over a long period of time to help make the Easley Chamber a value to its members and the community. Mr. Rusty Bynum is the 2010 Easley Chamber of Commerce Director of the Year. Please direct your attention to the video as we honor Rusty Bynum.
I'm sitting here with Rusty Bynum of Bynum Financial Group, and Rusty, you are the Director of the Year for 2010. So congratulations, first of all, to you for being the Director of the Year. And one of the reasons why you are Director of the Year, Rusty, is that you have been a Director for the past 3 years. And prior to that, Rusty, you were our Chairman of our Ambassador Group. Mm-hmm. And so you've been with us for 5 years. And Rusty, I can't remember in that period of time that you've always been there. You've always been in the meetings, and you've been at many of the functions. I can't say that's too much to ask that you're at all the functions, but you were the go-to guy, and you've been a past treasurer of the Chamber of Commerce. So you're well deserved as Director of the Year. Rusty, tell me what's the Chamber meant to you in your business?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say it's quite an honor to be voted for as Director of the Year. There are certainly a lot of people, certainly all the directors put in their time and effort, and to be chosen, I feel very thankful. So I appreciate you and the directors for voting me in. The Chamber for me started really 5 years ago when I wanted to get to know more about my hometown, more about the place that I live, the place that I grew up, the place I'm raising my family. From my involvement in the Chamber, one of the many decisions I've made was to move my office from Greenville to Easley. And my involvement in the Chamber really helped spur that move. The many people at the Chamber that have been just a part of my life for the last 5 years, not just yourself, but Mary Kay and Fran and the directors and the ambassadors have really meant a lot to me. And without them, I'm not sure that I would be here in Easley right now having this conversation with you.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you again for all that you've done for us. I know that you're rotating off, but I hope you will stay with us and be at the functions and continue to be a good Chamber member and as a past director and as a past treasurer too. But once again, thank you, Rusty.
Thank you, Ken.
Please welcome to the stage Mr. Rusty Bynum.
Thank you very much. Doing a video like that and off the cuff, it's very hard, and I wanted to say, Gene, I left the best for last. But once again, to all of you, the friendships I've made, the people I've met, I just can't say enough about all of you. Very blessed to have my family with me tonight, and thank you and best wishes for next year.
Now it is time for the Business of the Year. The Business of the Year is selected by the Board of Directors from the 12 businesses of the month. Past recipients have been Michael's Pizzeria, Chick-fil-A, Outback Steakhouse, Baptist Easley Hospital, and Pickens County YMCA. The criteria for Business of the Month: you must be active in the Chamber and the community, reach a significant anniversary of being a business, or have a special recognition or accomplishment by a civic group, community organization, or peers in the same business or industry. As we recognize the 12 businesses of the month for 2010, please stand when your business is shown. January is Silver Bay. February, Robinson Funeral Home. March, SE Telco Federal Credit Union. April, Applebee's Restaurant in Easley. May, Easley Combined Utilities. June, Dunbark's Premier Events. July, Great Clips. August, Hampton Inn. September, Foothills Retirement Community. October, Easley Business and Professional Women's Club. November, Allstate Insurance. And finally, December, Taste of Distinction. And to present the award is last year's recipient. Please welcome YMCA Chairman of the Board, Mr. Phil Owens.
Please join me as we recognize the 2010 Business of the Year in this interview with Blake Pittman, General Manager of Applebee's.
I'm sitting here with Blake Pittman, and Blake is the General Manager of the Applebee's here in Easley. And Blake, Applebee's has been selected as Business of the Year for the year 2010. So congratulations to you, Blake. Good job.
Thank you.
I know that Applebee's, Blake, you told me that you're one of 30 in the franchise, and that you are the training facility for this franchise. So I commend you for that, which tells me, Blake, that you've got a lot of good things going for you here, and that you're the teacher for everybody else. But that's not why you got Business of the Year. That's not why you got it. Blake, tell me some of the things that you do and Applebee's does to help the community, because that's why you got Business of the Year.
Yes, sir. Well, we do a lot of things in the community. The company's integrated in trying to help the community around it. We're really big about wanting to help the neighborhood that sort of surrounds us and do things for the people in the community. I mean, that's what we're about. We're about the neighborhood. So, really, one of the biggest things that we kicked off probably got really big last year. We did pancake breakfasts. It's basically a system where they come in, they ask us if we want to do it for them. We ask them, they tell us the charity they're doing it for, whether it be a school, a church, a particular part of the school, like a football, softball, whatever it may be, and then we set up a date for them, and basically we send out a template of tickets for them. They sell as many as they can, basically, at a certain price that they set for themselves, whatever they want, and basically we make a standard cost for them for what it is, and they sell the tickets, they let us know how many are coming in, then we buy the stuff, and then when it's over, basically, they raise a lot of money for themselves.
Good. I've heard a lot of good things about the pancake breakfasts that you've done. I know that every year Applebee's, it's just not you, it's the Applebee's stores in the upstate, that you have your Make-A-Wish Foundation. You have a golf tournament for Make-A-Wish Foundation. Tell us about that.
Well, as a company, we turned over to our charity. We started Make-A-Wish about 10 years ago, and it's always been a challenge to me to see if we can be one of the premier stores to to raise. It's kind of a challenge, a competitive spirit, but also a prideful thing to raise as much money as we possibly can for the Make-A-Wish. We've had several new opportunities every year presented to us as far as selling $5 bounce back cards or whatever, but one of our biggest ones is the charity golf event. And that mainly involves the 17 upstate stores, which for the last 5 years we've been the top store or I have been part of the top stores that have been number one as far as raising the most money.
Very good.
Last year we raised over $14,000. So.
$14,000 out of this store?
Yeah, out of this store alone.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Well, and I want to thank you, Blake, personally, because in addition to what you do for the community, you have helped over the years, for the past 3 years, you've helped the Easley Chamber of Commerce on our annual golf tournament, which is in May, and you will again do it this year.
Sure.
No pressure. I'm told you that. But you will again do the dinner for us at the May annual golf tournament at Smithfield Country Club. So we appreciate you doing that. Tell us about the employees and how that works and how you do it.
Every time since we've been doing this, I mean, all the charity events that we've been doing, it builds a sense of pride in the restaurant too. I have over 10 employees at least that I can go to at any time, tell them we're doing something, and they'll want to get involved in it, or they'll want to help, or sometimes it's like they're standing in line to be the next person to help, but. We have a great time doing the golf event or cooking for the golf event too. There's always 2 or 3 girls that right in the front. Well, I'll do it. I want to do it. So it's a pride thing, and also it's a thing to see the smiles that it brings back in the community, the things that you do for the community, the involvement that we have. Everybody loves it. Everybody has a great time, and it says more to the community that we're not just a place to eat or a place to come out. So it's also a place that we can give back. So.
Excellent. I know when this video is shown that you're not going to be there, and Gretchen Duncan will be accepted on behalf of Applebee's, but where will you be on February the 19th?
Well, it's our annual cruise that we got, and actually we earned it because we had a great second half to our year, so we're going to get to go on a cruise with Applebee's. They're paying for it, so I have to be there.
It's a tough opportunity, so I commend you for that, and we'll be missing you at the annual banquet. Congratulations for Business of the Year, Blake Pittman.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope talking to you
As Kent said, accepting the Business of the Year Award for 2010 for Applebee's, would you please welcome Ms. Gretchen Duncan.
I don't get to wear heels every day, I'll tell you that right now. I'm used to having my slip-resistant work shoes on. But it's a great honor to accept this award on behalf of Applebee's. And I have to tell you that Michelle and I do all of the community events together. We enjoy it immensely. And if there's anything that I've learned in the last 18 years that I have worked at Applebee's is if it's good for the community, it's good for Applebee's. Then we're happy to do it.
Now it is the Duke Citizenship and Service Award. The Duke Energy Citizenship and Service Award is a tribute to individuals who make a difference in their communities or places of work by using their time, talents, and compassion to positively impact the lives of others. Recipients of the award help foster a culture of citizenship and service that acts as a catalyst for others to become involved in civic and social activities. The award is designed to recognize outstanding volunteer service and civic participation over a long period of time. To present the award is Miss Emily DeRoberts of Duke Energy.
Duke Energy is proud to partner with Easley Chamber to honor members of our community. Past recipients of this award have been Dick Geddes, Jack Ragsdale, Chris Christopherson, Neil Smith, and Judy Burns. Joining this group of alumni for his work in our community is Mr. Jimmy Moore. In December last year, WYFF Channel 4 ran a story on Jimmy, and we can think of no better way to highlight his charitable nature than what YFF has already done.
And in Pickens County right now, the annual fundraiser for the Guardian Athlete right now, the annual fundraiser for the Guardian Athlete.
Y'all did that double talk thing on me again, didn't you?
Just your luck,
It's always me. One more time. You can do it. Please.
And in Pickens County right now, the annual fundraiser for the Guardian Athlete program is underway. That group helps children who have been taken away from their parents because of physical or mental abuse.
Tonight News Force Keisha Foster, without one of the group's biggest champions, is facing a battle of his own, and yet still working to help others.
Lunch today, broadcasting here in beautiful Clemson, South Carolina.
104.9 FM radio is known for talking sports 24/7.
It was a bonehead show.
All day Tuesday, the hot topic
We help try to give these kids every resource and
is the Pickens County Guardian Ad Litem program.
We try to raise money for the kids that are living in group homes and foster homes, and all the money goes directly to the kids.
Jimmy Moore is a retired police officer and a Guardian Ad Litem. Ad Litems represent abused children in court.
And if I have an opportunity to help these children and give something back, more's been given to me than I've ever deserved in my life. So I'm trying to give back. I'm a 25-year heart transplant survivor.
usual third annual fundraiser.
Now, Jimmy is dealing with a terminal form of cancer.
It's incredible some of the things we've been able to do.
He's been given less than a year to live.
For somebody like Jimmy, I mean, it's a true inspiration. How many people can truly be given the news that he's given and continue to forge ahead for what's important?
Make the kids feel better, feel a lot of different ways.
For Jimmy, the motivation, the kids.
I almost feel like this is a calling. I'm not going to sit home and feel sorry for myself. I came in this world kicking and screaming, and I'm going out the same way.
Keisha Foster is the YFF core.
Thank you.
Clemson.
Help me honor Jimmy Moore as the recipient of the Duke Energy Citizenship and Service Award. Jimmy couldn't be here this evening, but his daughter, Nicole Hemphill, is here to accept the award on his behalf.
A little disappointed, I guess. But for those of you who don't know, I guess now with the cancer, he was supposed to be here, but his flight was canceled. He's been in Houston for the last 3 to 4 weeks, and prognosis was wonderful. We found out Wednesday that after his CT scan and lumbar puncture, there were no signs of cancer. But for those of you who know him, you know that he does not like to miss an opportunity to speak. So he is very, very disappointed. We actually found out that his flight was canceled, and my husband and I were told at 5 o'clock that we needed to be here. So we ran to the store to buy clothes, so we're a little underdressed. So this is the second time that this has happened, that my husband has needed a suit. So he said now he's just going to leave one at my parents' house. So anytime we're back in South Carolina, he'll have one. But Dad just wanted me to say a few things. First of all, he's very grateful and very thankful. He loves Easley. He loves his community. Does everything he can, starting with the rescue squad back 20-something years ago. He brought many new things there, the Jaws of Life, new search and rescue. He's coached football, softball, basketball, baseball. He's done the Little League. He's been a president of the Little League. He does the Big League World Series. After his arrest that made him retire, he could barely walk, just got out of the hospital, and he still came and cooked for all the volunteers. He just loves it. Anything to do with Easley that he can help, he loves. And he wanted me to tell you that he's not finished yet. This is just the beginning for him. So thank you again very much.
Now, if we will welcome back to the stage Mr. Kent Dykes to tell us a little bit about what else is going to be going on this evening. And sing a song. Yeah, right?
And sing
I told
and
you I
dance.
was going to freak you out tonight.
That's right. That's right. Wow. Lauren, thank you. Ralph, you got some hard acts to follow. I'm just going to tell you right up front, but if you can rise to the occasion. We have a wonderful speaker tonight. And I really labored over the introduction for Ralph Hood, and I worked hard on it, and I just really couldn't pull it together exactly what I was going to do. But I went back to a letter that Ralph wrote me, and I said, well, that's pretty close. I think what I'm going to do is read a letter, if you don't mind. I'll just read word for word a letter that Ralph Hood wrote me when we were talking about him coming up here. But dear Kent, here's a few facts which should provide a suitable and dignified introduction. I grew up in Brunswick, Georgia, where my father was a school superintendent and mother was a college professor, and I was the prodigal son. In 1960, I competed in the Georgia State Water Skiing Tournament. I came in 13th place out of 15 contenders. I graduated from Clemson University. So that's excellent. Through diligent effort and superior intelligence, I was able to cram 4 years of college education in only 5 years. I write a regular column for 3 magazines. You've never heard of them. My columns are widely read by my wife. I've also written 3 books: The Truth and Other Lies, Southerner Raised in the 50s, and Ground Clutter, the book. I'm a member of the Alabama Aviation Hall of Fame, and this proves that you can fool some of the people all of the time. Many of you can relate to this, but I've been a Presbyterian deacon at 4 different times. You can relate to this, can't you, Mr. Robinson? In 4 different churches. But for some reason, never twice in the same church. I was once a Cub Scout Cub Master. Where's Grayson? Grayson can relate to this. Cub Scout Cub Master, and prior to taking that job, I had a full head of hair. Sincerely, Ralph Hood. Ralph.
Thank you. You know, I couldn't help but notice my goodness. I couldn't help it when he made the point about my hair. Mayor Bagwell laughed louder than anybody on the hair on the man's head. No wonder he's a politician. He could run in any county in the South with that head of hair. Did not hurt my feelings. I figured this out decades ago. God gave all of us men an equal amount of male hormones. Mayor Bagwell wants to use his to grow hair. That is fine. I want y'all to know that I am the me here, and most of y'all think I'm being polite. Listen, I've spoken from Hawaii to Spain, from Fairbanks to San Juan, and from Boston to San Diego. And I am so glad to be speaking to a group where I can say I'm fixing to get ready to go. And y'all got to understand what I'm talking about. You know, I've spoken in New England a lot. Have y'all ever tried to go to New England and talk? You know, it's fun. How many of y'all have had your southern accent up north recently? I know, y'all, you women, what'd they ask you? As Fran, you know, I like to call, and I like to talk to people. The behavior, the business arrangements between them were done as well here as any Chamber of Commerce I have ever spoken to. And you kind of get to where I wonder what all these people look like. And, you know, it's fun to get there and see. I'll tell you the truth, if I'd known Fran was so cute, I'd been nicer on the phone. But what do they say to you, Fran? When you get up north? Where are you from? How many of y'all have heard that? First time I heard I was 19. Where are you from? And, you know, I spent one time a week in Manhattan, on the island itself, big meeting. And by Wednesday, I'm getting sick and tired of where you from, Mr. Hood? And I sat down for lunch, one of these big round tables, 8 people. Fellow right across the table from me said, where you from, Mr. Hood? Everybody else leaned forward because they wanted to know too. He said, where you from, Mr. Hood? I looked him straight in the eye and said, right here in New York City. You should have seen the look on their faces. They would not look at each other. They would not look at me. They were looking at the ceiling, counting their feet. And I let that sink in, and I said, now, of course, I didn't grow up here in New York City. A wave of relief washed across me. And the guy, the same old guy that asked me in the first place, said, oh, I didn't think you did. Where'd you grow up? I said, Boston, Massachusetts. Let them figure it out. Not that my wife asked me, why do they hire you to go all the way to New England, Connecticut, Rhode Island, all those places, Boston? I'm trying to learn how to say Boston. I said, well, they hire me because I'm so good. Come to find out, that wasn't it at all. I was part of their multicultural diversity program. I was the token redneck. So I am glad to be down here. And you know, how many of y'all are familiar with Boston? Have you ever, do you know where the Marriott Long Wharf is? You do. I'm impressed. It's a fancy hotel, isn't it? The Marriott Long Wharf. Now, they say wharf when they mean wharf, which is what we call a dock in the first place. Marriott Long Wharf, it is a fancy place. My wife went with me, and I made a mistake. I landed in the airplane at Boston Logan Airport. Got on the payphone, just for cell phone. And I called the Marriott Long Wharf. And the woman said, Marriott Long Wharf, can I help you? I said, yes, ma'am, I'm over here at the airport. Can y'all tell me how to get from here over to your hotel? Y'all, she didn't answer, but she covered the phone up. I couldn't, she didn't say I couldn't, but I could hear her. She was talking to some woman named Mabel in the background. She said, Mabel, pick up and listen, I swear, I think it's Forrest Gump. See, I lived in Alabama for 30 years. And you go up to Boston talking about Alabama, saying you from Alabama, they're going to talk about Forrest Gump. And I appreciate that, man. Do you realize how long that story has been funny? I thought it'd run out in about 4 years, but it didn't. They're still playing it on TV. I think I can use that till I die. Now, I like fancy hotels now. I never stayed at them when I was selling airplanes on commission. Motel 6. And I remember the first time I stayed at a Ritz-Carlton. How many of y'all have stayed at a Ritz-Carlton? Oh, that's something, Mike, you did on the military pay. There's a committee looking into that. Where was it, Mike?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. Mine was in Florida. What's the name of that town? Naples, Florida. And I went there, and I had never stayed in such a place. I walked around all stricken. I remember I asked this guy with a red jacket. He came up and said, he asked me, he says, I was looking out the window. He said, are you enjoying the view? I said, yes, sir. He said, that'll be $50. And I got to where I just hid in my room for the rest of the day, and I'm in the room at about sundown. This woman comes up to the front door of my room, knocked on it. I opened the door, and there's a nice-looking young lady there. And I'm thinking, you know, this place got good service. I knew it had good service. First night I was there, I woke up at 3 o'clock to go to the bathroom and came back. The bed was made up. She came to the front door and she said, Mr. Hood, would you like to be turned down for the evening? Would I like to be turned down? I was an expert on that subject. I had been turned down all over the country. Usually took a long time. And then she offered it. She came in, turned the cover back, put a piece of chocolate there. That was one of the best consolation prizes I'd ever had. Chamber of Commerce. I am delighted to be speaking to the Chamber of Commerce, and I have really, in all honesty, been so impressed with this one, just like everybody else that has talked. And it has been a great pleasure. And I'll tell you one thing, I admire all you men. I don't think I can remember a group of men that is married so far over their head. I mean, I could look at any table and pick out a very attractive woman. Now, I'm politically correct now. I have been trained. So I don't say there's a bunch of knockouts. But y'all look a lot like some of the knockouts we used to have, I'll tell you that. Chamber of Commerce. Commerce. Think about that. You know, throughout history, commerce has been a much admired thing. We still remember the trade routes and the cities that were good at trade or commerce. And I submit to you that one of the greatest contributions to our entire country, not just Easley, not just South Carolina, but the history of our company has been our commerce. You know, World War II, we put out airplanes so fast for all of our brave fighting men. Put out tanks. And by the way, Dwight D. Eisenhower said the three most important tools in the Africa campaign was the DC-3 airplane, the bulldozer, and the deuce-and-a-half truck. None of the three were meant for war. But boy, we could turn them out. And then my daughter called up from Russia one time. She has been a working hippie. She got a good degree from Indiana, never has had a career job. She waits until she gets every credit card paid up, gets $1,000, she leaves. And she has worried us to death. But you name it, she's been there. She called one night and said, you know, she was in East Berlin, not Russia, and she said, I meet a lot of old people over here say they were happier when it was communist. I said, I don't blame them. Remember, communism didn't fail because somebody voted it out. It failed because they went bankrupt. They could not feed their own people in 1917 when the Russian Revolution took place. They were huge exporters of wheat all over the world. By 1991, late 80s, they were buying wheat from us on credit. That's what happened to them. And they could not keep up with our military. Didn't have the money. People like you make the difference in the free market. Now, we were talking a minute ago. That's as long as I can stay serious right there. A little longer than some of y'all stayed with me, I think. We were talking about strange places up north.
or at least I was. And you know, we shouldn't do that anymore. This is a global economy, a world market, and they tell us we got to all work together. I remember the first day I tried it. I worked at the airport in Huntsville, Alabama. I was taking 3 foreigners to lunch, just to be nice. There's 3 of them, 2 from New Jersey and 1 from California. And we passed a field of cotton ready to be picked, beautiful as the driven snow. It's a gorgeous sight. I feel sorry if anybody hadn't seen that. This guy from New Jersey looked at that white, snow white field. He said, what in the world is that in that field? Y'all know what I want to tell you. Y'all want to see them grits in full bloom. Like I always had, see? But instead I said, no, you got to be nice to everybody, get along. This is a global economy, world market. And I told them the truth. I said, sir, that is king cotton growing in the house. Oh, I was so proud of myself. I had done it right. And I could have gone home proud if they'd left me alone. But you know how pushy they get. We drove another half mile past a soybean field. That guy said, what is that in that field? Yeah, I tried to say soybeans. But I'll tell you, the first day on the program, I couldn't handle 2 of them at the same time. But I tried, I said, polyester. You laugh, but I got to be buddies with him, went up to New Jersey to see him. He showed me a whole field of rayon already. And we do have some strange places down south. How many of y'all are familiar with Lexington, Kentucky? What they raise there, Jones?
Lexmark.
What?
Lexmark printers.
That's funny. I thought they raised horses there. But the first time I went up there, I didn't know that. I thought they produced Lexmark printing, you know. And I got up there, flew myself up, a little Cessna, walking the private airplane side of the airport. Could not believe my eyes. Everywhere I looked, they got these giant 4-color posters all over the place, and every one of them advertising the same thing. Stud service. Didn't know one of them say anything about horses. I thought, you know, this is different from where I grew up. Supply and demand must be somewhat skewed. I said, you know, maybe this is the place I've been hunting since I was 13. I thought maybe I could have found the perfect job, and I did up my tie. I walked up to that lovely young lady behind the counter, and I said, just looking at the posters, just how much y'all pay studs up here? She said $100,000. Do y'all realize if I'd had that job that year, I could have made $300,000? I believe even with all that hair, maybe a bag would have made $250,000. I spent most of my life selling airplanes. And I found this one way in which many ways in which flying airplanes compares to business. First thing is what you really do in both cases. In the short run, you do the best you can with what you've got on hand. I mean, 5 years from now, you build a new building. 5 years from now, you'll fly a better airplane. But if something happens, you do the best you can with what you've got on hand. And I found something else. How many of y'all have gotten up on a lousy day when you got to fly somewhere on the airlines? You look out the window, it's some miserable day. Cold, dark, dreary, mud puddle. Y'all seen that? But you call the weather bureau if you're a pilot, and you say, what's it like? They say, Mr. Hood, it's clear on top. How many of y'all have heard those words? It's clear on top. Let me tell you what it means. You've been there. You get in that airline and it takes off and it's a miserable day. It's drizzling and there's puddles all over everywhere. The minute you get off the ground, the whole world turns gray. You know that? And it's not exactly bumpy, but it's kind of swirly. It squiggles. And you don't like that. And the higher you get, the squigglier it gets, and the darker it gets, and the more uncomfortable you are. But who can tell me what happens in a few minutes most of the time? That airplane climbs up on top of that weather. We say it breaks out on top. And as far as the human eye can see, it's a beautiful day. The sun shining, sky is blue, it's smooth as silk. It's clear on top. Isn't business like that sometimes? Isn't raising children like that sometimes? Isn't a marriage sometimes like that? It's bumpy. And then you break out. You rise above it. I can do that in an airplane, but the biggest airplane I could ever fly carried about 80 y'all. We could climb up on top and let you see exactly what I'm talking about. But think of what you do. You raise businesses and communities and employees and customers and people on top of some of the problems in this country. And that's something I can't do. I could take 8 of you, we could stay a couple of 4 hours. That's all. But the Chamber of Commerce lifts so many more people on top of so many more problems. And one of the things I know that you have to have in business, I'm in business, is standards, ethical standards, business standards, customer service standards. I had a head start on standards. My mother, and Kent knew my mother, we grew up in the same town, went to the same high school. He went with my brother who was 4 years younger. But standards was one of my mother's biggest. She was an English teacher, a born fanatical English teacher. Anybody have a mother like that? It's hell, but it's a big hell. Well, Daddy was a school superintendent. And where I went to elementary school, the principal was Louise Kennedy, Kent, and she was one of my mother and Daddy's best friends. Remember that? Now, I got sent to the principal's office one day when I was in the 2nd grade. I was about this tall. Remember that? I'm a cute little 7-year-old kid. Don't know anything. But I did know I was innocent. But I wasn't worried. I knew what was going to happen. I was going to walk into this kid's office, and she was going to say, "Well, Ralph Jr., honey, what happened?" And she was going to take care. That woman had a total personality change while I was walking around. I got down and she said, "They told me about you. You get in that back office and stay there till I have time to deal with you." I walked in, she slammed the door behind me. I was mortified. They'd already taught us this was a free country and I had rights to a fair trial by a jury. I knew that in the 2nd grade. And the more I sat there, the more, and besides I was innocent, the more I sat there, the more outrageous I got. And finally I decided, I don't have to put up with this. I'm going to climb out that window and walk home. But even then, I was a kind of thoughtful little kid. I didn't want to worry her, so I wrote her a note. Said, "Dear Mrs. Kennedy, I have gone home. Love, Ralph Jr." Then I got to thinking. And by the way, I've got permission from Kent to tell this story. And it's not dirty. How could a 7-year-old kid do anything dirty, you know? But it does have one agricultural term. But I climbed up to one. No, I didn't. I wrote her that note. I've gone home. Love, Ralph Jr. And I got to thinking, I already wanted to be a professional writer. And I said, that's kind of dull. You got to change it. Now, in the 2nd grade, you get a lot of help in your education. You get a lot at school, some at Sunday school and church, a lot from your parents, and some from Ronnie Dubs next door. Now, Ronnie was 13. I was 7. Oh, we looked up to Ronnie. And Ronnie had been helping me with my vocabulary. Well, I thought those words sounded so great, I had no idea what they meant. But they rolled off his tongue, so grown up. So I rewrote that in Dear Mrs. Kennedy. This is absolutely true. Half my lives aren't true. This one is. Dear Mrs. Kennedy, I have gone home, you bitch. Love, Ralph Jr. did that. And back then, that was amazing to everybody. Today, it wouldn't bat an eye over teachers. So I wrote that night. Now, how many of y'all are smart enough to figure out who called whom while I was walking home? And let me tell you, when I got there, nobody read me my Miranda rights. My mother explained that whole situation with the bamboo switch, and I can well remember, I can't remember the crime I supposedly committed. I can't remember who really did it. I can't really remember the pain of the switching, but I remember the ignominy. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I had violated one of Mother's standards. Oh, she was big on standards. And she was an English teacher, and she could not stand it. I was still snuffling, she's still mad as a hornet, and she pointed that bamboo switch at me and says, by the way, that word has a T in it. And I'm here to tell you, thank you. I'm here to tell you that standards work. To this day, I can write that word. Got crossing that T. Standards, and we had standards in aviation. I remember we didn't know about noise pollution until I was 1972. We didn't even know there was such a thing, much less did it make you deaf. But you talk to 3 old bomber pilots. One of them says, windy today. No one said it ain't Wednesday, it's Thursday. Third one said, I'm thirsty too, let's go get a drink. But we learned in time, we were wearing earplugs. That was a company standard. And one day I got in this airplane to go down to South Alabama, Mobile. I sold insurance on airplanes too, and if you could insure the whole flight school, you could make a bunch of money on commission like in 10 airplanes, see? I got in that airplane, noisy old airplane, climbed up on top of the weather, leveled off. Could not find my earplugs. Well, I said, you're going to have to do the best you can with something. You got to look around that cockpit. No earplugs, but somebody had left these filter tip cigarettes. I said, now you know, Joan, you take a blithering idiot and stick the tobacco in the ears, but I said, look at that filter. That filter's wrapped pretty tight. That might make a good earplug. I'll break it. No, I won't break it off. I'll leave it hooked to the cigarette so I'll have me a handle to get them back out. Worked like a charm. Y'all, I could not even hear the engine run, and I was so proud of myself. Made the best use of something I had on hand, solved my problem, flew down to Mobile, landed, made a beautiful landing. Taxi around to that big flight school. Pulled in and parked. Some of y'all getting way ahead of me. What you write? I got out of the airplane. Here came the guy who was going to park me and fuel me. And he said, can I help you? I said, my name's Ralph. He would not shake my hand. I walked in the lobby. It was full of fine folks all dressed up. I got my cards out. So my name's Ralph. I'm an aviation insurance specialist. You can trust me. Put the insurance on your Learjet. Never got into business out of those cheap people. Finally, I went back to the manager's office, got his undivided attention. He hung on my every word. Looked right in my eyes the whole time. And I got through, he said, well, let me think it over. I said, you think it over, I'll go to the men's room, I'll be right back. I'm in the men's room washing my hands. As far as I know, he never got any insurance. I didn't go back. I got my airplane and went back. Now, here's a funny thing. When you don't have standards, sometimes things like that happen. And I'll tell you one other story. How many of y'all fly? Mike, you flew? No? Kent did? And I learned, where did you learn, Kent? Pensacola, Florida. He was in the Navy. I'll tell you why they taught him in the Navy. Pensacola. They say, if you get lost, look out the window. If you're over water, go north. If you're over pine trees, go south. You'll hit the beach. If you can't see the Gulf of Mobile, go west until you see it. Try and come back till you smell the pulp mill. And look out the window. Is that right or wrong, Kent? That's exactly what they told me. I learned to fly in Georgia and Alabama. Flew for 6 years without knowing how to navigate too well. My theory was you just fly till you get lost. Keep flying. You'll find you a little airport. Don't know where it is. When? Walk in and say, can I borrow the phone? Yes. You ain't going to call anybody. Just look at the front of the phone book. This line will say Easley, South Carolina. He didn't know where you at, see? That worked for me for 6 years till the first time I flew over Texas. Can't you ever fly over Texas? There's a heap of it. All was just like Texas. I got lost, fuel gauge sitting on me. I knew that didn't mean excellent. I had some experience. Lost. I said, you're going to have to do the best thing you can with something you got on hand. What I had on hand was a little narrow blacktop road running straight across Texas. I said, eventually there's got to be a filling station on that road. I'll follow that road. If I run out of gas, I'll land, and if I find a filling station, I'll land. You talk about goal-oriented and focused upon the task at hand. If you can run this chamber, this community, your own job, raise your family, the way I focused on that blacktop, nothing diverted. I didn't move my eyes off that, follow that thing. Nothing diverted my attention. Sure enough, there's a filling station. I landed and I taxied up the road. And once you get over being terrified, you get kind of cocky. And I'm in that stage, and I get to thinking, this is going to bug the old boy at the filling station. And I'm going to enjoy this, and I goose the engine so it. Sure enough, I get there, and he's standing on the side of the road. I pulled in, bolted the gas pump, waved at him as I went by, I got out. I looked at him, he looked at me, and finally he said, can I help you? I said, yeah, fill it up. He filled it up. I paid him. He gave me the change. I wanted to say something about it, but I couldn't stand it. But finally I had to. I said, well, I reckon you kind of wonder why I came up to a filling station in an airplane, didn't you? He said, yep, I did. Most everybody else lands across the street to the airport. And folks, if you don't have standards and you don't pay attention in business or airplanes, it's so easy to end up across the street from the airport. And I'll tell you something I've learned about flying on top and trying to live on top. You have to have a little bit of courage and a whole lot of faith. It takes some courage to get in the airplane and climb up through the clouds at first. And it takes a lot more courage to go into business. I've done that too. Sometimes you got to borrow the money. What if the customers don't come? And you go through all that and lie awake at night and wonder about it. I've been there. But it takes a little bit more courage to do that. In either case, you have to have that faith, that strong faith. Faith in your own ability, faith in the community. And I'm convinced we have to have that type of faith that is perhaps best described by the first line of the Junior Chamber Creed, which says that we believe that faith in God gives meaning and purpose to human life. I want to thank y'all for laughing in all the right places. Y'all are doing great. But I think you need humor in your life. I think you need to ride around town in your car or truck listening to a humorous CD. Some of y'all don't have a humorous CD, do you? I can lift you on top of that problem. I happen to have a humorous CD, 45 minutes of the very best of my humor. Some you heard tonight, some you did not. Now I can hear about half of it thinking, wonder what he wants for. You know, it's got 45 minutes of my best humor on there. I know that you've readily agree that this is easily worth $69.95. But I'm not going to charge you $69.95. No, because of the very special relationship that's developed between us here tonight. And because y'all look too cheap to pay $60. I want every one of you to have one of these absolutely free. Your only obligation is to buy this overpriced book that I wrote. The Truth and Other Lies. It's taken from my award-winning newspaper column. All the stories in there, back in Alabama. Now tonight I have sold this for $20 all by itself, from literally from Australia to England. I can't remember if it was one in Australia and two in England. For $20, I've sold a CD for $10. I'm going to put them together tonight, and you get both of them for $20. And by the way, it's absolutely guaranteed. If you buy one of these books and the book and the CD for $20, and you decide for any reason that the book and the CD together are not worth $20, return the unused portion of the book and the CD. My wife will return the unused portion of the $20. Now that's one of my lies that ain't true. She'll send it back, and I will send your money back. And by the way, I will autograph the book for you. Now, if you do not want my autograph, I would think of charging you $20. If you don't want my autograph, the book's $40. I'll sign anything in there you want me to. I have signed them Cleopatra. I've signed them Shakespeare. But don't forget, you can read it, you can listen to it, everybody in your family can. Save it. You can give it to somebody else come Christmas or on their birthday. My time is up. I have thoroughly enjoyed you, and I'm serious about the book and the CD. I'll be out there at that little table. Thank you so much.
That was really funny. You should have been sitting at the table tonight. There were some other interesting stories, but I won't tell any of them because some of them might be in that overpriced book. So, no, definitely worth it. And just a reminder, those will be out in the lobby. Again, $40 for unautographed, right? $20 for autographed. Okay, that sounds like a deal. And the CD for free. Well, I hope that you guys have enjoyed yourselves tonight. I have enjoyed being part of it. Happy birthday, Michael. I bought you dinner tonight, kind of, so there you go. But thank you to Michael Denton for inviting me. I appreciate it. And it was an honor to be among all of you tonight. And while we're sitting here enjoying our meal and laughing and having fun, remember the servicemen and women that are fighting for us, past and present, and make it possible for us to do what we do here. Again, thank you. Don't forget the book, and have a good evening. Thank you. Good night.